fusion is a way that is what's happening all around us. It's happening in food. Think about the ways your diets have changed in the last 15 years. It's happening with music, the music we listen. It's happening with the way we use our bodies. And it's happening with the way we bring up our babies. So there are emerging models, and knowledge is moving around in all sorts of surprising ways. But what we have done with our medical model mostly is to push away the irrational, symbolic, mystical, associative, intuitive aspects of knowing into the realm of the exotic. So we do science, and they do shamanism, they do all these weird cultural things. And can we recover this connection in the way we live? Can we be scientific and at the same time have the magical reality? And can we reconcile our contradictions over it? And surely I have lived those, and I still live those. My experience was of becoming a mother in the Amazon while I was doing my first fieldwork. It was not a planned pregnancy, but there it was. I carried history with me. I carried all what I knew about birth from books. I carried forceps, lithotomy position, being on one's back for birth. I carried the hospital, although I hadn't been very much, the clocks, the protocols, the internalized notions, the ideas of risk and safety, health and disease, body and soul. And being white, I also carried the crimes against humanity, which were perpetrated by my colonialist ancestors. I heard stories from the Indians about how my ancestors cut up their ancestors in little pieces and fed them to the fish during the rubber boom. And the WHO initiative of training traditional birth attendants around me while I was pregnant was definitely not working. So what did I learn from these people while I was pregnant? Well, I taught nurture, and nurture was definitely not part of my life. I grew up in a quite dysfunctional home, and nurture was not part of it. The women gently showed me that my working in combat trousers did not facilitate my pregnancy. But they gently helped me to take my trousers off, to sit with them in their afternoon circles, and because I started having lice when I did that, then I started getting deloused by them in the afternoon, which came with wonderful massages and the intimacy of women's circles. And then, to educate me into motherhood, they gave me a baby to look after. I had never held a baby. And they put two little 10-year-olds in charge of teaching me how to mother a baby. And the mothers were keeping an eye on them and seeing if they were doing it right. And I was really not very good at it. But little by little, I learned. And they were always showing me again. They never told me, you do this wrong. They showed me again. They sat next to me again and showed me again. And finally, until I got it right, and they didn't stop. So if we step through the looking glass, what do we see? We see what common sense tells us we miss. We see people living in houses, and it's not always very nice, these long houses with lots of people, you know, lots of gossip, lots of bickering, lots of jealousies, but the togetherness prevails. And the togetherness is better than all the bickering. So at Birthlight, we recreate this togetherness, this creating circles of friendship. And when we step through the double looking glass, we see conflicting realities that are in us. We are divided, and I'm still divided. I have this respect for noble savages, the people I love, who taught me how to be a mother. But I see how everywhere in the world they are becoming refugees, and they are suffering from the oil companies and the depredation of the deforestation and all these terrible things. We see the conflicts, and we carry the conflicts between their knowledge. We know they have things to teach us, and a lot of what I teach is what they taught me. but at the same time we have a mission to civilize them. Now the women that I was pregnant with have to give birth in hospitals, otherwise they don't get certificates for their babies. And the midwives have become totally outlawed. So if a midwife is caught attending a woman, she goes to jail, and I visited some midwives in jail. The conflict between cultural survival and cultural revival. So this is a positive thing. There are negatives, but this is positive. Some people are, you must have read in the media about the tribe which is really endangered in Brazil last week with Cultural Survival International. But at the same time, there is a cultural revival. They become proud of their cultures, and we borrow some aspects of their cultures. And we have our own cultural pressures. We want perfect babies and perfect families. And we seek everywhere to get them. So how to develop qualities of nurture, strength and joy? Well, in the forest, people were happy and relaxed around babies, even there was much to eat, and it rained a lot. And it was not that comfortable, but I saw happy people around me, and I agree with all the other anthropologists who comment on how relaxed the rainforest people are. And Ingrid will talk about this in a moment. I also learned that these people are not happy like, let's be happy. They're happy because they observe reality, and their observations and their interpretations of the animals and the way the plants and the animals and the elements interact show them that being happy is the best response. It's not an artificial happiness, it's a harmonious way of being in the world. And they do that with their babies. It's very physical. Babies before and after birth need to be walked, danced, dreamt, embraced, floated, sung to. And they are. And this is what I learned, and this is what we do. So, as an Amazonian midwife's apprentice, I gained a body of knowledge. I learned to see with their eyes. I learned to see how babies sit in the womb without ever having, I had not studied anatomy yet at that time. And you get a body that knows, you learn to feel, you learn to palpate, you learn all the skills that the old midwives in Europe used to know, and that new, younger midwives are now recuperating and reintegrating. And also through the practice of yoga, millions of people, millions of Westerners worldwide have learned to cultivate body-mind integration. This is their way of growing a body that knows. When we learn to breathe, we notice how we get calm with the breathing. We notice how when we do asanas, we get energized. So we learned in the body, and there was a comparison between what I learned in the Amazon and what I learned as a yoga student and practitioner. So we create bodies that know by using cultural vehicles that gives us access to what we can't easily get access. We can't all go to the Amazon and live there for 2 years. It's not always easy, but we can shortcut. And